Are you looking for a great crochet pattern to make a baby playmat? Watch today's video. I have the perfect one for you. When we first started having babies, way back in the 90s, I was a stay-at-home mom, work-at-home mom, and I decided to start sewing baby items. So I traveled around to craft fairs. One of the hottest items was a fabric playmat that we sewed. Sold tons and tons of them. Ever since, I've been trying to figure out one that I could crochet. So today's video takes this velour kind of yarn. It's from Lion Brand. I have the link down below. Love this yarn for this purpose. It makes a very soft product, but then you fill it with fiberfill and it makes this fantastic playmat. So I'm going to give you step by step on how to crochet it, how you fill it, and ta-da, you'll have a fantastic playmat for the baby. Okay, I am using that soft velour kind of yarn. Like I said, I found this online. It's by Lion Brand, but I just love the softness of this, and I love this little pattern. These little pockets are just super fun and easy to do. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I have a size J crochet hook, and start out with a simple chain 15. Okay, so here we have a simple chain 15, and we are going to do half double crochets starting in the second one from the hook and going all the way across. And a half double crochet is you loop it over your hook and you put it in your chain. Again, it's the second one from the hook. We draw back your yarn, loop over and draw through all of them on your hook. Loop over, go into the next one, pull it back, pull it through all three. Over, pull it back through all three. And we're going to do this all the way across. When you're done, we'll double check, but we should have 14 of them. Okay, and you go ahead and you make sure you do one in that first chain. And so let's count here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. I'm not counting the turning chain on this one. So we have 14 half double crochets. So now at the end of each row, chain 2, turn, and you go in the very first half double crochet down below. We're going to do a half double crochets all the way across, having 14 of them on each row. So at the end of each row, I always double check because we need these to be really square, because I'll show you how we're going to make the little pillows, and they need to be square to do that. Okay, when we get down here to the end, this turning chain there, we go ahead and we put a half double crochet in it. We're going to lay this down and we're going to double check. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Again, I'm not counting the half double crochet. So that's it, all it is. Easy peasy. We're going to go back and forth for half double crochets, 14 in each row, until this becomes pretty close to a square. So when you get your piece to pretty close to being this the shape of a square, and you can test that by folding it in a triangle and seeing if it lines up on your edge. So this is pretty close to being a square. So at this point you need to do one more row. So just the standard one, keeping count each time that we are having 14 half double crochets at the end of each row. Okay, so I just finished the one extra row, and then this is where the fun part comes in. We are going to make it a pillow. So we are going to go back with the same pattern, 14 half double crochets, going the other way, but we're going to attach them on the side as we go. So at this point, we are going to slip stitch on the edge, going up. You have your hook here, you're going to go up that edge. We're going to slip stitch 3 times. So in that first one is 1, there's 2, and we're going to go up here is 3. And then at this point, we are going to fold over that bottom row that you just did, that extra one, and you are going to slip stitch in that last stitch that we just did, So the big picture is we are slip stitching up the sides and going back and forth. So we slip stitched up to get to this row. Now we've slip stitched to get a hold of that row, and I'm going to slip stitch one more time in that top chain, and then we're going to go up one more stitch and one more stitch. So right here is what we have. We have secured this with 2 stitches, and we have slip stitched in 2 more. So basically this slip stitching in 2 more is quote unquote your chain 2 that begins a row. So that's how I kind of always keep it in my head. So now we need to go 14 half double crochets back, and this does get a little tricky, this slip stitch over. Sometimes I do my half double crochet in it, sometimes I do it in the number 1. In the end, you need just to make sure that you have 14. So there was 1, 2, there we go, 3, and we're going to go all the way across, 4, so that was 12, here's 13, and here is 14. I always lay it down and count. So there's, yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's 14. So now we slip stitched on this side to make it connect. We have to do the same thing over here. Okay, so now you fold it to where it's nice and even as following the row below. And we are going to slip stitch down to that fold. So there's 1 and there's 2. So our stitches down here now. And I folded, or I turned the project away from me. It's just a little easier. And I slip stitch my seams. So here's 1, here's 2. So I've slip stitched both of those. Now I need to go 2 to go up above to get ready for the next row. So here's what we have right now. Our stitch is up here, our thread is up here ready to go, and now we're going to go back the other direction. So again, that's like my chain 2. So now this is what it looks like when you're holding it. You are going to do 14 on the way back the other way. So there's 1, 2, and go all the way across and make sure that you have 14 when you're done. So here's what you look like right now. We need to connect to our side. And so we just go. Now after the first rows, we had to slip stitch down because we were wanting to close up that pocket. Now we just, at the end, I slip stitch into the next one. I don't go backwards, and I slip into the next one. We're going to turn and go back the other direction now. So that was my quote unquote chain 2, and now we do 14 half double crochets. Okay, I'm closing in on getting to this top row. So when you're this close, yours might be ending just a little bit different one way or the other. The end goal is to make both sides as close as possible. So we're going to go ahead and do our 2 slip stitches, and I'm going to go into the top chain there, and I'm going to go back one more time. Okay, I need to double check that we have 14, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 14. And we're going to go ahead and slip stitch in this other side here. And it looks like it's nice and even. That's exactly what you should have at this point. Now, instead of just cutting a little tail and finishing off, you need to have a tail that's roughly a yard long. And go ahead and finish off. Pull through your string through. So there you have a completed pocket, and then I will show you how we fill it and join it with the other squares. So after you finish your little square, we need to fill it with fiberfill. So we have our long string, and then we have the short one. This is the beginning tail, actually. So at this point, so we don't get confused, I'm going to feed the beginning tail into the top row of stitching and just hide that away. And you're going to need to have a yarn needle. So just gonna stitch this together with a yarn needle. This part goes really fast. And I don't have an exact measurement of how much fiberfill. I just would fill them all so that they're all kind of equal. And then when I push down on it like that, that seems to be okay. And we're going to stitch together the end. And the stitching together the end goes pretty basic, just whipping back and forth through their top chains. Now it's ready to sew to the rest of the playmat. I chose to make sort of a bullseye pattern for my playmat with the jagged edges. There's a lot of different options, but here is what I chose to do, making a round of each color and ending with the dark blue, and that's the one I'm going to do a border on. So come up with your own pattern, but to do this one, I needed to have 2 skeins of each of the green and the white, and I needed to have 3 of the dark blue. Okay, I am really kind of bummed. I got cruising on this and I completed my playmat, the layout of it, before I showed you how to install the pillows together. So I'm going to sew this in the wrong place and then I'll take it apart off camera. Okay, to sew them together, it's easier just to sandwich it together like this. And always, you're going to be going lengthways with your stitching. Your needle is always going to be going like this. It's not a loop stitch like we just did to close it. So you'll see what I mean here. So I'm going to go to the corner here and I'm going to go lengthways in my stitching. And then I'm going to go lengthways in this stitching. And then I'm going to go lengthways back and forth, and I make 2 passes doing this. And you want to just match up your corners. If it doesn't quite get there, just stretch it out. Okay, so we're down to the end, and I'm going to go back the other way. And because of my right brain, I'm going to flip it over, and now I'm just going to go back and do the same thing going back the other direction. When you get to the corner, secure it nice and tight in there to make sure that there's not a hole, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's why we have a super long tail at the end of each of your squares. Leave a nice long tail. We're going to stitch down and stitch back. I am going to put a double crochet border all the way around this, and then when I'm done I'm going to decide if I want to do 2 rows, but I'm going to start with just 1 row of double crochet, and there is no right or wrong to the playmat. Both sides should look pretty similar. So I'm going to start in a corner and just attach my yarn with a slip knot. Going to chain 3. And then I am going to evenly space double crochets. When we get to the corners, we'll have to adjust, but evenly spaced double crochets along the edge. And this is my tail right here. I have a lot of tails to clean off, but while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and include that tail in my double crochets. Oh, there we go. You're just going to have to kind of feel your way along. Go too deep and you're into 2 stitches. But as you get going, it is actually pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to put 1 double crochet right in the center one, and that'll help us turn to the next side. And then I'll go a couple and we'll make sure that's laying correctly. Okay. Oh, that looks fantastic. Okay, so we're going to have to adjust when you get to a corner as well. Okay. Okay, so here I am to a corner. We're going to do one for that side. We're going to do one for the corner itself. And one for the new side. And then continue. And again, let me go a couple here and make sure that's laying correctly. You might want to increase it. Oh, that looks really good. So here is what it's going to look like. So that's just a nice edging. And as of now, I think I'm just going to stick with one row. So I'll do one row and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, here it is all done. I am totally pleased. I didn't know what I was going to end up with when I started this project, but I totally love it. I can't wait to give this to our longtime friend. They're getting ready to have a little baby, and I think this is just gonna be a nice hit. So while you're doing yours, if you have any different ideas or suggestions on how we can improve on this plan, I'd love to hear from you. Please comment down below. But as always, thank you for watching DIY on the House.